Hey guys, Lex the Gray here. Welcome back to another video. I want to introduce a new house rule I came up with for Fate. This house rule can work with Fate Core, Fate Condensed, or Fate Accelerated, whichever system you fancy. And the house rule is really simple. It's called ATM, Aspect the Moment. If you don't prefer to track aspects, situational aspects outside of the player character's character sheet, like the world aspects, like what are the facts of the world, or moments at the scene aspects, what's going on around the player character, things that they can be aspects that can be rewarded, or aspects that are behind the GM screen and can be played once they're approached or discovered. Instead of keeping track of all the aspects, depending on how crazy you go with aspects, this rule only applies to ones outside of the character sheet. So it does not affect it does not affect the character sheet concepts like their usual ones that you start with, stunts or the consequences. This kind of does impact the boost, depends. Still working out the house rule, but basically this compresses all of those outside factors into one go-to spur of the moment aspect generator. Hence, aspect the moment. It's an ATM. The player can access the ATM for an aspect. Basically, the GM does not say or mention any aspects outside of the player's character. They have to use their creativity or their skills to think of a moment when the ATM method might be valuable to them. So if the player character is doing something and they say ATM, the GM will decide if granting an aspect or if letting them know an aspect is discoverable at that very moment is up to the GM. The GM most likely, because Fate's a pretty easygoing system. It's a very flexible, free-form storytelling, narrative-driven. So most of the time, I think GMs would be appropriately would say that, yeah, sure, here's an aspect for you. You are wearing shoes that allow you to sneak around silently, or there are guards falling asleep nearby, so that you can use that as an aspect to grant. So essentially, this just compresses everything: scene aspects, world aspects, boosts that can be granted. So basically, if they want to create an advantage, thus the ATM is automated. It can be used with the GM's approval and guidance. Basically, they want to create the advantage. Fling some dust or powder into the guard's eyes during a fight, or the enemy's eyes to blind them. That's an ATM that can access the aspect and allow them to create that boost for themselves. But the ATM is typically spur of the moment. It is strictly the moment at hand. It does not hold for the entire session. It is strictly for the moment. That way, the GM doesn't have to worry about tracking all the aspects, which they can certainly do. If they want to track a library and inventory of a handful of aspects that is fluid in changing scene to scene, then the ATM is simply a door, a passageway for the player to ask about them, what is currently on the list. That way, it might be better to have a few ready to go for the moment. That way, you don't have to improvise too much. But again, it's up to you. I feel like this house rule does make sense. It's mainly the compression factor, not just if you have ones ready or not, but it makes everything into one aspect spur of the moment. So that's why I call it ATM aspect of the moment. It's a great way for collaborative storytelling and some easy mechanics for the player, I should say, and the GM. And of course, the aspect can be granted to several player characters or just one specific person. But that's the house rule. That's really it. It's simple. I'm sure people have thought of something similar, like just one aspect uh, for the moment, and that's pretty much it. There aren't like three or four, and you have to remember which one. You got to write down these aspects on a sticky note or some kind of tablet you can erase later. The game master doesn't have to track each scene or each environmental factor considering. So let me know what you guys think. I hope I explained it. It's pretty simple, but I'm definitely going to be using it moving forward. It also makes it easier because again, I use my current campaign, Wolf, is led by an AI as a Oracle GM, and as I call it, crutch AI, because it's self-admitting that AI does take a lot of the burden off my solo videos and at times the creativity. But with that respect, I'm going to be using it for the house rule moving forward, just an additional house rule. So it will also take that as a replacement for typical boosts, environmental factors, and such. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think, and please feel free to list your own house rules you use for Fate. Like, do you have a difficulty system for refresh rate, or how many Fate points are granted to the players per session? So maybe like five is for easy, three is normal, two if you're using I think accelerated, and one is difficult or none at all. So again, that's another house rule potentially. But either way, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.